It appears that the Celtics are receiving inquiries and proposals regarding Jaylen Brown. The decision is made. The Boston Celtics have greenlit the transaction of Jaylen Brown and are actively considering offers. However, rumors suggest that ownership expedited the process before the playoffs commenced, all without Jaylen being informed, and the franchise they're aiming for might surprise you. We have all the details on this, so let's dive in and analyze it. The unexpected news. In a stunning development that has sent shockwaves throughout the basketball community, the Boston Celtics have initiated the trade process for Jaylen Brown, the 2024 Finals MVP, seen as a fundamental pillar for what many anticipated would be a championship dynasty for years ahead. To grasp the significance of this shift, we need to analyze how swiftly the foundation of this championship-caliber organization has eroded. Little over a year ago, Jaylen Brown stood as the unequivocal champion of Boston's title campaign, claiming Finals MVP accolades while guiding the Celtics to their 18th championship. The collaboration between Brown and Jayson Tatum appeared to be on course to secure numerous championships for Boston, with both athletes at the peak of their careers and signed long-term deals that hinted at sustained competitiveness for the foreseeable future. However, the harsh truths of professional sports often disrupt even the most well-laid plans, and now the Celtics find themselves ensnared in a perfect storm of events that has turned the unthinkable into something almost unavoidable. This significant shift can be linked to two interrelated crises that have reshaped the Celtics' competitive dynamic. The first, and perhaps most impactful, was Jayson Tatum's Achilles injury sustained in May 2025 during the Eastern Conference semifinals against the New York Knicks, which has kept him out for the majority, if not all, of the 2025-26 season. This setback not only deprived the Celtics of their star player, but has also dramatically shifted the franchise's championship timeline, compelling them to grapple with troubling questions regarding their financial investments. Alongside Tatum's injury, the Celtics face a dire financial dilemma due to the NBA's revamped collective bargaining agreement. The team's anticipated payroll could hit approximately $500 million for the 2025-26 season, inclusive of luxury tax fines. This staggering amount surpasses the GDP of several minor countries. The concern transcends merely compensating players. It's the luxury tax penalties that have escalated alarmingly, jeopardizing the franchise's long-term viability. For context, the Celtics are expected to exceed the luxury tax thresholds by roughly $51.8 million, with a projected tax liability soaring past $238 million. The scenario takes a turn for the worse when you factor in the Celtics' recurring status as luxury tax violators. They have crossed the luxury tax line in at least 3 of the past 4 seasons, incurring penalties that escalate significantly for every dollar spent above the threshold. The financial implications of their situation are astonishing, shedding light on the magnitude of the issue. For the 2025-26 season, the Celtics' anticipated payroll is projected at $227 million, which is $784,873, roughly $39.9 million above the luxury tax limit, leading to an estimated tax liability of $238 million, $167,757. The overall expense of sustaining their championship-caliber roster nears $500 million, a sum that even the most dedicated ownership groups would find hard to defend, especially with Tatum's injury severely impacting their championship chances. At the heart of this financial tempest lies Jaylen Brown's unprecedented contract, initially perceived as a tribute to championship glory upon its signing, but has now morphed into a symbol of organizational excess. Brown's 5-year Supermax extension, valued at $304 million in 2023, constitutes roughly 23.3% of the franchise's entire payroll, positioning him among the highest earners in NBA annals. Specifically, his salary for the 2025-26 season is pegged at $53.1 million, a number that once felt warranted in securing a Finals MVP during his peak. Yet, the circumstances surrounding this deal have shifted radically. What was thought to be a wise bet on maintaining championship caliber has turned into a financial burden that restricts the team's agility and exacerbates luxury tax liabilities that soar to dizzying heights. Ironically, Brown's stellar performance that justified such a hefty contract has also cemented his status as one of the few assets potent enough to alleviate salary cap constraints. The NBA's apron framework has only intensified these financial challenges, weaving a complex web of limitations that hinders any roster enhancements. With a payroll totaling $227.8 million, the Celtics exceed both the primary apron threshold of $195.9 million and the secondary one at $207.8 million, thereby imposing numerous roster construction constraints that significantly restrict the organization's operational capabilities. Teams hitting the second apron endure strict limitations regarding trades, free agent acquisitions, and even compensatory draft picks, locking them into a competitive straitjacket that renders traditional pathways to improvement nearly unattainable. The human impact of these financial conditions cannot be overlooked. Brown has become acutely conscious of his delicate position, as reflected in his recent public statements that seem to recognize the ambiguity regarding his future. I've spent a decade here, so while there's a lot of chatter online and in the media, the real experience in the community is filled with love and authentic connection. His words resonate deeply, transcending usual athlete community interactions. They symbolize a player grappling with factors he cannot influence. The organization's reaction to this turmoil has been quick and resolute, yet it is also disheartening for those who experienced the building of this championship team. Recent deals sending Drew Holiday to the Portland Trail Blazers and Kristaps Porzingis to the Atlanta Hawks have trimmed around $180 million in luxury tax fees, allowing the team to slide under the second apron. But in the process, they've shattered essential components of their championship strategy. These actions are not merely about cutting costs. They signal a recognition that the existing roster's financial setup is untenable. Holiday and Porzingis were not merely high-cost contracts. They were critical elements of the Celtics' title-winning approach, with impacts that transcended their on-paper statistics. Their exits have created significant gaps in the lineup that won't be filled easily, especially with the team's constrained resources for enhancement. The urgency behind these actions is evident when looking at the timeline. The Celtics have managed to cut $180 million in luxury tax costs via these trades, but they still find themselves in a worrisome financial state that may compel them to take even bolder steps. The emergence of Brown's name in trade talks, despite his MVP accolades and ties to the community, underscores the depth of their crisis. Stephen A. Smith commentary articulates the basketball rationale for keeping Brown, particularly in Tatum's absence, yet it also underscores the heartbreaking irony inherent in this scenario. The very factors that enhance Brown's worth to the Celtics simultaneously increase his allure to rival teams. The psychological toll on Brown himself introduces further intricacy to this evolving narrative. After nearly a decade dedicated to Boston, evolving from a novice into a star capable of leading a championship team, the uncertainty regarding his future must be profoundly distressing. These sentiments indicate a player striving to uphold his professionalism and dedication despite circumstances spiraling out of his control. The rapid emergence of this predicament also highlights the unpredictability of contemporary professional sports. Less than 2 years ago, the Celtics were viewed as potential dynasty material, with Brown and Tatum seen as the cornerstone for ongoing championship aspirations. The shift from dynasty dreams to an organizational demise marks a striking turnaround in the recent history of the NBA. Falling short against the Knicks feels utterly crushing, but one lesson I've learned is that there's always life after a setback. So, we'll brace ourselves for what's next. Brown's own comments following the Celtics' playoff exit now resonate with deeper meaning. The death he spoke of might have pertained to a playoff defeat, yet it seems to symbolize the end of the championship era he helped forge in Boston. The frenzy is on, as NBA Titans gear up for the ultimate acquisition. When Jaylen Brown's availability became public, the league shifted into a high-stakes bidding war, prompting the most ambitious front offices to marshal their assets for what many view as a rare trade opportunity in recent times. This isn't standard trade talk. This is a strategic effort directed at a championship-quality player by teams that realize they might not have another chance to land someone with Brown's exceptional skills and track record. The rush has been swift and fierce, with reports revealing that franchises are tossing around outrageous offers and expressing strong interest in securing Brown. The urgency in these bids highlights not just Brown's immense worth, but the exceptional opportunity of acquiring a 28-year-old Finals MVP who has several years left on his deal and seems to be approaching the peak of his career. What sets this scenario apart is the level of organizations chasing after him. These teams aren't just searching for star power to boost ticket sales. They're genuine championship hopefuls and ascending forces that perceive Brown as the crucial last element in their title quests. At the forefront of this initiative, with their trademark acuity and tactical foresight, are the San Antonio Spurs, a franchise renowned for pinpointing and securing players who fit the mold of what Brown brings. The Spurs align well with their youthful core, highlighted by Victor Wembanyama, and the combination of Brown's championship pedigree with Wembanyama's exceptional promise could forge something remarkable in San Antonio. They might be poised to present Stephen Castle the number 2 pick in the 2025 draft, alongside several first-round selections from 2025 to 2031, in addition to established talents like Jeremy Sochan, Devin Vassek, and Harrison Barnes. This isn't merely a trade proposal. It's a complete overhaul of the Celtics' future, delivering both immediate talent and long-term resources that could ensure sustained competitive success for years to come. What sets the Spurs apart in this negotiation is their strategic patience and a history of unlocking player potential. Unlike franchises that might feel pressured to quickly assimilate a new star, San Antonio has shown an impressive ability to integrate established players with rising talents while upholding the culture and systems that foster championship outcomes. For Brown, joining the Spurs would mean entering a franchise with championship heritage and the framework to aid his growth as a player and leader. The synergy between Brown and the Spurs' current core is undeniably compelling. Wembanyama, a unique 7-footer, brings rim protection alongside floor spacing that would enhance Brown's perimeter scoring and defensive skills seamlessly. With the growth potential of players like Castle and the steady guidance of seasoned contributors, the groundwork for a lasting championship run is set, potentially lasting past Brown's current contract. On another front, the Houston Rockets have transformed significantly and regard Brown as the key final element in their championship strategy. They could offer Fred VanVleet, alongside promising talents like Jabari Smith Jr., Cam Whitmore, or Terry Eason, as well as considerable draft assets in their pursuit of Brown, emphasizing their focus on immediate success over future development. Thus, the Rockets' interest in Brown goes beyond mere talent acquisition. This is a declaration to the league that Houston is poised to battle in the West. Conferences shape their dominant forces. The current group, anchored by talent like Alperen Sengun and Iman Thompson, presents an exciting base, which could reach championship heights with Brown joining. What stands out in Houston's strategy is their boldness in trade talks, all while preserving their long-term options. In contrast to franchises that might sacrifice their future for a single athlete, the Rockets have structured their organization to enable daring maneuvers without jeopardizing their growth prospects. Among the most captivating wildcards in this scenario are the Detroit Pistons. This team is regarded as a sleeper, potentially offering Tobias Harris, Isaiah Stewart, Jaden Ivey, and possibly Jalen Duren or Alcer Thompson, along with up to 3 future first-round selections. Detroit's allure lies not solely in its assets, but also in its urgent desire to hasten its rebuilding phase and gain respect in a market that craves basketball triumph. The Pistons embody a distinct option in Brown's list of possible destinations. The chance to be more than just a standout player, but the cornerstone of a franchise's revival. In Detroit, Brown wouldn't merely join an existing team. He would help forge one, collaborating with Cade Cunningham to usher in a fresh era of Pistons basketball that could energize a city eager for success. The current competitive scene in the Eastern Conference presents avenues for swift improvement that are less accessible in the more entrenched Western Conference. A Brown and Cunningham duo could swiftly transform the Pistons into credible playoff threats while laying the groundwork for lasting achievement in a conference that seems more accessible than in recent times. Thus, they maintain a lofty price point for both players. If an offer is truly remarkable, they may entertain it. However, barring such an occurrence, their choice leans toward retaining both Jaylen Brown and Derek White. This perspective from Shams Charania highlights the fierce competition in the market, as the Celtics have effectively established an auction-like setting that significantly enhances Brown's trade worth. In addition to the 3 main contenders, the increased league-wide interest in Brown has sparked a secondary market, with other teams gearing up as possible alternatives or enablers in intricate trade situations. Reports suggest that squads positioned within the top 10 of the 2025 NBA draft are pursuing aggressive trade propositions, indicating Brown's attractiveness resonates with various organizational strategies and timeframes. The Celtics' rumored asking price has further fueled the competitive atmosphere of these talks. Some insiders indicate that Boston is eyeing first-round picks in return for Brown, a figure that underscores his substantial worth and the team's hesitation to let go of their finals MVP. This valuation goes beyond mere compensation. It establishes a threshold so lofty that only the most committed and financially equipped franchises will enter into serious negotiations. The sorrow of loss. To truly grasp the significant impact of Brown's exit, we need to recognize the remarkable bond he has cultivated with Boston over nearly a decade. When the Celtics picked him third in the 2016 NBA draft, it wasn't merely about adding a talented player to the team. They were inviting in a figure who would come to symbolize their ideals, dreams, and deep dedication to community involvement that reaches well beyond the court. Witnessing Brown's evolution from a raw rookie to finals MVP has been nothing short of astounding. Yet it is the subtler elements of his time in Boston that render his potential departure so heart-wrenching. His words during a community event for his 741 apparel line underscore the deep mutual connection that has blossomed between him and the Boston community through years of genuine interactions and shared moments. Brown's genuine commitment to community engagement has marked his tenure in Boston, distinguishing him from athletes who participate in philanthropy mainly for publicity. He has spearheaded initiatives like the Boston Exchange Foundation and has actively collaborated with local educational institutions, positively influencing the lives of many young people across the greater Boston region. These contributions will resonate long after he steps off the court. The significance of his efforts transcends standard statistics or game highlights. When Brown interacts with students in Dorchester, Mattapan, Roxbury, and Hyde Park, it's more than mere appearances or meeting contractual duties. He is dedicating himself to the future of communities that have often been neglected and disregarded by the broader society. Students recount their encounters with Brown as life-changing events, moments that motivate them to aspire beyond their educational goals and envision opportunities they hadn't thought possible before. This sense of belonging resonates deeply. especially considering Brown's strained rapport with certain segments of the Celtics fan base, a challenge that has demanded both bravery and wisdom to navigate effectively. In 2023, he took a stand against a toxic segment of his fan base, asserting that when players underperform, some fans unfairly link it to their character. The bravery to challenge such attitudes publicly cannot be overstated, particularly for a young African-American athlete in a city with a complex racial backdrop. Brown recognized that his remarks might spark controversy and risk estranging some fans, yet he opted to leverage his influence to confront crucial issues honestly. The achievements on the basketball court, although secondary to the personal narrative, offer essential insights into what Boston risks losing and what the wider basketball world observes in this split. Brown's notable efforts during the 2024-25 season, where he averaged 22.2 points, 5.8 rebounds, and 4.5 assists across 63 games, culminating in his fourth All-Star nod, highlight years of persistent growth and a relentless quest for greatness. More significantly, his leadership in critical moments has carved out his legacy in Boston, establishing him as one of the standout clutch players in contemporary NBA history. Even while battling a partially torn meniscus, he averaged 22.1 points, 7.1 rebounds, and a career-high 3.9 assists throughout the 2025 playoffs. These performances reflect not only his remarkable skill, but also his steadfast dedication to the team and the city that nurtured his journey from the outset. The effects of the current circumstances ripple far beyond merely affecting Brown individually. They influence every connection he has cultivated within the organization over nearly 10 years of shared endeavors. The coaching team, dedicated to honing his abilities, the front office staff that has nurtured his development, and his teammates who have experienced both hardships and victories are now faced with the daunting reality that financial constraints might dismantle their collective achievements. These connections are far more than mere professional links that can be readily substituted. They represent authentic relationships strengthened through the extraordinary journey of chasing championships in elite basketball. The trust, dialogue, and respect that grow among players, coaches, and front office personnel over years of collaboration embody a unique form of institutional wisdom and rapport that is not easily replicated or transferred to other situations. Furthermore, the emotional ramifications for Brown throughout this ordeal must not be overlooked or downplayed. After nearly 10 years in Boston, where he has evolved into not only a basketball talent, but also a community advocate and exemplary figure, the ambiguity surrounding his future must weigh heavily on his heart and mind. Following a successful arthroscopic knee surgery in June 2025, he is anticipated to fully participate in training camp. Yet the physical preparations for the new season unfold amidst an unprecedented sense of uncertainty regarding where that season may unfold. This historic backdrop intensifies the potential for separation, making it a deeply emotional scenario for everyone involved. The Celtics have consistently turned down trade opportunities for Brown, even when it involved high-profile players like Damian Lillard and Kevin Durant. These choices ultimately contributed to championship victories and highlighted their dedication to nurturing the Brown-Tatum duo. The organization's steadfast belief in Brown's capabilities has not only resulted in on-court triumphs, but also created a significant community legacy that transcends mere basketball achievements. Past choices to retain Brown, often amid significant external pressures and alluring offers from other teams, illustrated a level of commitment and foresight that is becoming increasingly scarce in contemporary professional sports. The Celtics weren't merely holding onto a skilled player. They were embracing a philosophy centered on enduring excellence through continuity, player development, and establishing long-term relationships that hinted at decades of competitive viability. Now, outside influences entirely beyond the control of any single player, coach, or executive threaten to dismantle what internal dedication, shared objectives, and mutual respect cultivated over nearly 10 years of collaboration. The irony is deeply disheartening, as Brown has just reached his peak as both an athlete and community figure. Just when the player-organization relationship has blossomed into its most fruitful and mature state, financial limitations may compel the Celtics to part with all they've collaboratively constructed and accomplished. The viewpoint of fans introduces a deeply layered emotional aspect to this evolving tragedy. While opinions among fans vary, some passionately advocating for Brown to stay, and others considering trade options, there's a collective sense of gratitude for Brown's contributions to the team and the local community over his near-decade-long presence. Even those who might begrudgingly endorse a trade for financial or strategic motives recognize the significant personal impact such a choice entails and what would be lost. The strong bond between Brown and his fans was clear at his recent community gatherings, where the sincerity of their relationship was unmistakable, far beyond any staged photo ops or managed public relations. These were genuine displays of mutual admiration and respect, cultivated over years of meaningful interaction and shared moments. For the past few hours, he's been immersed in tasks similar to this one. This event hasn't garnered significant attention. It reflects a true and heartfelt aspect of him, his brand, and the people he values deeply. NBC Boston's Malcolm Johnson succinctly illustrates the core of Brown's community involvement, which is sincere, enduring, and driven by genuine concern rather than a thirst for publicity. The appealing basketball prospects for Brown, combined with opportunities for fresh experiences, introduce an additional emotional nuance to the narrative that deserves attention. Each team pursuing him offers various opportunities, hurdles, and potentials, yet none can mirror the unique blend of history, community ties, organizational ethos, and personal connections that Brown has built and nurtured in Boston throughout nearly a decade. Beginning anew at 28, during what should be the zenith of his career and community engagement, would demand a level of emotional strength and flexibility that is rare among athletes. The task goes beyond simply grasping new systems, forging bonds with unfamiliar teammates, or adjusting to distinct organizational environments. It involves re-establishing the strong community links and significant relationships that have been as pivotal to his identity as his basketball successes. The timing of this possible shift intensifies the emotional weight, making the situation even more poignant and heartbreaking. Brown's departure from Boston isn't that of a jaded veteran chasing a final opportunity, nor a young talent yearning for fresh experiences. Instead, he may find himself leaving just when his worth to the community, his influence on youth, and his stature as a leader and advocate have flourished to their fullest. I strive diligently to obtain the platform I possess. I leverage it to advocate for those without a voice, so the thought of having to give up that platform feels like an improper choice. Brown's reflections, shared in a distinct scenario regarding his choice to prioritize sports over dawn, illustrate his profound awareness of the weight carried by his position and the influence he wields. This makes the possibility of his exit from Boston resonate even more. The broader organizational angle enriches this poignant narrative, permeating every facet of the Celtics framework with an added element of sorrow. Though Celtics executive Mike Zarin asserted there were no serious discussions regarding Brown's trade, the stark financial realities indicate that even the most sincere promises and deep-seated commitments may fall short in safeguarding relationships forged over years of effort. The front office staff who have guided Brown's evolution, the coaches who have polished his skills and nurtured his leadership, and the support personnel who have observed his maturation both on and off the court now face the unsettling prospect that economic pressures could dismantle their collective achievements built on commitment and hard work. Regardless of whether Brown stays in Boston or embarks on a new journey, his near decade-long affiliation with the Celtics has already secured his legacy as one of the franchise's most significant and memorable players. The connections he's formed, the communities he's impacted, the standards he's established, and the constructive changes he's inspired will last, no matter where his career takes him and how this chapter wraps up. Tap one of the cards on your screen for more videos like this.